Welcome to Dating and Relationship Advice. There's a couple things that I wanted to talk about was a few of my dates and at least get what you've experienced so far.
Okay.
And of course it's a mess out there anyways.
Yeah.
At least according to my view. Yes, terrible. I have a new guest. Usually I have new guests here and there. I want to introduce my new guest. Her name is Christy. Say hello.
Hello.
Hey. So we're going to talk about our dating experience. Mostly I wanted to focus in on the relationship portion of it. How to get to that point where you're trying to find the person that you match with. So I know in past podcasts I talked about focusing in on energy that's equal to yours, certain physical things. Like if somebody has traumas, could react differently when somebody doesn't have that same trauma, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, a lot of that's connection, I think, and empathy and emotional connection. When they're talking with somebody, you want to be able to connect with that person and feel what they're talking about, so you can understand them, empathize with them. Um, so I think that's really important in conversations, especially with somebody that you want to possibly in the future someday build a life with.
Yeah, exactly.
And on a physical level, I mean, when you lay eyes on them, then you're going to be like, yeah, that person I'm attracted. Because really, when you first meet somebody, it is all about that attraction, because you don't have anything else to go on, And everybody kind of has this preconceived idea of what they're attracted to, what they like, and so that's going to be the very first attraction. And sometimes you can bypass that and you should get to talking to them. If you don't have that initial attraction, but you go ahead with the date and you sit with them, you talk with them, and you're like, wow, this person's really neat. And you're more attracted to their inner than that outer person. There's a lot of people you're like, look at them as a couple and you're like, how did they get together? They don't look like they fit. Have you ever done that? Have you ever looked at somebody and like, how did they get together?
Yeah, see, I started doing that in high school. So it's almost
Yeah.
like, this guy is not that attractive, but the girl that he's dating is really attractive. And
Yeah.
he's not even a
How
football
about
player.
happy?
So it's almost like, how did they get together? So,
It's like maybe he's very intellectual and she was stimulated by his conversation. And that's women. We look at different things, not just physical attributes. Somebody's humor can be very appealing. Somebody's, their intellect and the way they talk. And, you know, there's just a lot of different things that we women put value on.
yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that at least these websites, we go by sight alone,
Hmm.
and you don't actually account for their character.
Yeah, and sometimes, people look better in pictures, they do when you meet them, or they look better, in person. And you're like, oh, wow, you look better than your picture. But people just don't take great pictures. And they get passed up because, or they didn't take the right pictures. You ever seen like a half a face or everybody's got sunglasses on? You can't actually see the person. You see a nose and a mouth, and that's really it. So,
Yeah.
there's like 20 people in the picture. And you're like, well, which one is it?
Oh, yeah, I get that all the time where there's like a whole party, and you got to guess which one's the person that's on the date site.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I
You're
get
like,
that.
I hope it's that one.
Yeah, I get that quite a bit. But
Yeah. So people need to learn to take better pictures with these dating sites.
well, see, I don't know if this is true, but let me ask you this. So, are men bad photographers? Because I heard that somewhere from other women.
Some men are and some men aren't. Some men are actually very good at it, and others they take really terrible angles. I don't know why it is. They don't really put any thought to it. They just hold it up, take a picture, go. But then there's other men that'll actually put some thought into it. So you can't really just say all men, because I don't believe in using the words all and every everything and everyone every time, because that's not, we're all different, men and women. We all have different personalities, so
Yeah, it's not realistic, but a lot of people do that.
they do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
hmm there's somebody that I'm talking to, and they're like, "Oh yeah, all girls do this." Like, no, all girls don't do that. That's, you may have met a few that did that, but that doesn't mean all and everybody does that. And you meet a lot of people that lump everybody into a category. I don't like to be lumped into any categories, so to me that's offensive.
Right. No, I agree with you. So nobody should lump anybody in any category. This reminds me of something that was done to me. My ex used to do something called catastrophizing things. This means that she would turn things around and make a catastrophe out of an issue that would come up. For example, she would tell me that I lied about what I did for a living, even when I showed her proof. She would also use the words, all men are liars and cheaters. First of all, you can't make that blanket statement because she didn't know everyone on this earth. Second of all, she is convincing herself that the lie she is telling herself is not true. Just because she has had a handful of bad experiences doesn't mean that you can put me in that all-encompassing category. Now, this is the funny part. So, in order to prove her statement that all men lie, including me, she would get jealous whenever she would hear someone sending a text to my phone. Because of her trauma of men cheating on her, she would think, the text coming through is another woman. That becomes a problem when she introduces jealousy into the mix. I've had these friends since high school. Now, to her, it doesn't matter if they're married or not, or what situation they're in. I've proven to her several times that I have moral boundaries with these friends. And at the time, everyone knew we were together because she thought she was catching me doing something she thought was wrong. It excused the fact that she was talking to a number of her exes. Now, I published we were together, painting and I love you on the mailbox, adding comments on Facebook and adding pictures of our day. She did the opposite, where there were no pictures of us in her apartment or anywhere, and she would tell me, no one is going to tell me what friends to have, and kept talking to the men like her ex named Frank, Rob, and Ken. It made me feel like if I ever really did something wrong, she would have those men as a backup. Because Beth was so disrespectful, hypocritical, manipulative, and she likes to convince herself she is right when the facts prove that she is wrong. If I was Beth, should I say all women are hypocritical and make up things to control their men? No, why would I do that? I should not say that to Beth, and Beth shouldn't be doing that either. She should have been focusing on the real issue while trying to give our relationship a chance. She never gave it a chance. I can say Beth is controlling, a selfish person using jealousy against me when her self-esteem is really the issue. I was willing to help her with all of that. Beth is a very interesting person while she gaslit me and convinced me I was a terrible person, when the facts show that I was not. There were interviews with Beth on previous podcasts, including her ex-boyfriend, who witnessed a lot of the abuse towards me. All-encompassing words like Beth saying, all men are liars and cheaters, kind of triggers trauma Beth has caused me. I kept coming back for the abuse that she gave because we did have an amazing connection on many levels. She really could not get out of her own way. To her, all men are liars and cheaters.
Yeah, or they like to compare you to their exes, that kind of stuff.
Oh, no,
that's terrible in dating.
That's a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
So you've had that?
Oh, yeah.
Like one of your dates?
Yeah.
So
oh, yeah, remind me of my ex, and, I'm like, well, I don't want to remind you of your ex. really not my what I'm trying to pull off here.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I see what you mean. It's like, oh my gosh. So, see, let me tell you this. So, I went out on a date, and on the website, of course, it looked like, I don't know, the woman almost looked like her face was photoshopped.
That
So,
is a lot of stuff going on the internet right now. A lot of women do the Photoshop. Men too. I've got pictures with it. A lot of people are using the Photoshops now.
oh, okay. Well, so, me and her decided to date. And of course, once we met, she looked a lot older.
Mm-hmm.
And, our conversation went well and everything like that. Usually, when I hear a pause, or she starts looking around the room, I know
Mm-hmm.
she's not interested.
Not
But,
necessarily. Some people like to and look at the environment. Maybe they've never been to that place before, and
well,
maybe they see something interesting. They want to talk about it.
when I see this, it's consistent with me.
Okay.
So, at least. Like, when the conversation stops and then you start eating, she looks around the room. She has nothing else to say, and then it's almost like you're trying to figure out, okay, what should we talk about now? But there shouldn't be really a lull in the conversation, right? Because you just met, so there's a lot of questions, right?
Yeah.
Like the basic, do you have a big family? How many kids do you have? Tell me about yourself.
Yeah, but sometimes it can come across as like an interview, and it's not feeling organic and natural. If you're just firing a bunch of questions at each other, to me that's not natural. Like, you can ask some questions, but maybe get on a subject about it for a while. Just make it feel more natural.
Well, see, here's the problem. So,
You're not
so
going to find out in the first date. It's just supposed to see if you have connection.
right. But well, see, listen to this one. So I asked her how her day was,
Mm-hmm.
and immediately it's almost like she snapped at me, and she goes, "Everybody asks the same questions. Why don't you ask something unique, different, something I've never heard of before? Because all these men have the same questions." And I'm like, I'm just trying to learn who you are, and maybe something at work I can relate to.
Yeah. I mean, that was great of her. I mean, honestly, that's not something to say to anybody. I mean, you just want to, everybody does have kind of questions, something icebreakers, and how to get a conversation flowing. So I agree. That was pretty rude of her.
I mean, some people don't realize, some of their questions are rude.
Hmm.
Understand the sensibility of somebody else, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. Or maybe you just didn't, think it was going to come across that way. It meant for it to come out that way, but it didn't. It was still rude.
Yeah, so I
Some
don't,
people don't attack when they talk.
right, because I don't normally judge somebody on how they look. So if they look older, it doesn't matter to me.
Hmm.
It matters if we have a connection or if we have, similar things of interest,
Hmm.
stuff like that. Or once we're talking about our past, how I relate. Like if I can relate with, what's going on. Like if you've had a single parent, so have I, and the way we grew up,
Hmm.
then, I feel that we have more of a connection.
Yeah. Yeah, having some compatibility definitely makes for a better connection. You have nothing in common with somebody else, and all of their interests are different, and they just have a totally different type of personality and upbringing, and view on life. It's very difficult to get close to a person like that if you can't relate.
Right. So then, in a sense, you're trying to match values with your own. See if
Exactly.
see if they have the same values.
Yeah. You want the same, moral value. You want the same, life value, future goals, things like that. If you have, they're wanting to move to Europe, you have no desire to move to Europe, you know, that's something you should know.
Or what if, let's see, you live
Or
in
they
the.
want kids and you don't want any more kids, which is my case. I've had my children. I'm an empty nester. I'm happy with not having any children.
Yeah, for me, it doesn't matter. I figure it's up to the woman if they want more kids. If they don't, I'd be happy.
Hmm.
Or some people live in the north and then other people live in the south,
Hmm.
like in your situation.
Yeah. Wonderful hot.
Now, what was that date all about? I mean, how far away was that? Because you had a date and he lived in the south part of Florida. Is that what it was?
No. Well, he lived about far away. We met up for a date. We were talking for a little bit. And then we hit it off. He was a Mexican guy, great personality. And then he tells me he's leaving in the morning to move to another city, another state. I didn't just another state, another state. He literally had his car packed and told me on the date he was leaving in the morning. I'm like, then why are you dating? I don't understand.
Yeah,
Completely confused.
yeah. So
What
what's the point of meeting?
exactly? I'm like, why bother me? Why? Out. It didn't make sense. So,
Well, see, in my case,
uh,
I travel for work quite a bit, and I go pretty much to the same states. And I mean, I don't mind looking outside of my area because I'm not going to bet on the fact that somebody's going to be 2 minutes away from me
right.
because I think I've exhausted all of those resources. So if I travel to Florida or if I travel to Atlanta or Minnesota or wherever I'm at the time, and then
Hmm.
I come back home and then I go back there, I'm willing to move. But they probably won't even give that a chance.
Why?
A lot of people that I talk to, like I went to Minnesota, I started talking to a few women there. And as soon as they saw that I, lived in another state,
Hmm.
then they deleted themselves.
Gotcha.
So they automatically assume that
Hard to
that
do long dating. It really is. It's not an easy thing. You have to like both be really committed to something like that.
But then if they don't want to communicate or get to know each other or see how many times I am in your area to
Hmm.
even consider something, I mean, even a friendship. I mean, nobody even wants to get to that step.
Yeah. Well, they're looking for Mr. Right. So to them, it's next. You know, they're not looking for fun. Maybe they already have plenty of friends. But they're just looking for the one, and so I wouldn't take it personally.
Well, I'm looking for the one as well, but I don't mind getting to know you. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. If we don't have the same values or hobbies or whatever it might be,
So let me ask you this: do you put it on your dating site, like your profiling stuff, that you would even be willing to relocate if you got to know somebody and it got to that level?
well, see, there's not enough room. They give you so many characters.
Oh, really? Because I've actually seen that on a few men's sites. They're like, don't worry about this problem. We're willing to relocate. If it gets serious type thing. So maybe you should find a different site to go to, put more character. That.
Yeah, because I did that. I was on Match.com and I literally wrote a book. And all they did was say, yeah, I like what you wrote, but that was it. And then they stopped talking.
Huh.
So, yeah, every site's just a little bit different, but in a sense, they're all the same. All
Well,
the
I'm not saying
same.
it's easy. It is hard dating. Dating is like hard work. It's like a job too.
Well, it shouldn't be a job. All I'm looking for is how do you communicate?
And it's really hard. I've got the same question. You say hi to somebody and they say hi back, and then it kind of ends there. Nothing progresses. Or, how are you? I'm fine. Where you live? You tell, and then you don't hear from them again.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you match only to not talk to each other.
Yeah, yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah, it's one of the.
It's mind-boggling difficult.
Now, let's look at dating this way. Let me use an analogy. So, online dating reminds me of going to TJ Maxx. I throw all kinds of options into the cart without really sorting beyond this could be interesting. Next, it's to the fitting room, where most things are eliminated for size, quality, damage, wear, and tear. Sometimes things just don't fit, and it doesn't matter why. Sometimes it's bad lighting, and the item might be okay, so I walk out with items that made the cut. Take another lap around the store, maybe abandon a few things or pick up a couple of new things. Then there's the sort at the checkout. You know, I don't want this one. Let's not ring it up. Finally, a few things get to my house for another try, see if they work with what I already have or if they're going to turn into a project. A lot of things get returned after I see how they work out at home. Once in a while, I find an absolute treasure that enhances my life and works with my current and aspirational self. So that's rare. So don't assume I'm taking you home just because you made it into the cart. If I end up taking you home, understand you could easily be returned. So before telling me I'm women bashing, I'm sure this works both ways.
And what's with the pet names? They always want to like. They haven't even met you yet, and they're like, "So what kind of pet name do you want me to call you?" What? Christy is fun. Christy's good. I don't know you well enough for you to be giving me pet names.
Oh, that's a new one for me.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've had several, and I don't know. Maybe he just wants to call everybody by the same pet name, so he won't confuse names. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, have you ever been with somebody and they called you by like their ex's name? So maybe
um,
that's their way of making sure they don't do that.
no, nobody's ever called me somebody else.
No,
No.
I have. I have definitely.
I do have a few Christies that I know.
A lot of
Besides you.
It's a popular name.
Yeah, so's Brian.
Yeah. I always have to say, is it Brian with an I or a Y?
Oh, it's an I. Oh,
Brian
there's
with an
a
I. Just
yeah.
saying it. Like if I'm out and I meet a Brian.
Well, there's a couple times where people are texting and they actually type brain instead of Brian. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, hey, maybe that's a compliment.
It's like my spell check is just as bad as yours.
Yeah, text and drive, so you try to use the voice. It never works out. You can go on a first date and all of a sudden they're completely in love with you. Like head over heels, you're the one, and they're actually saying these things on the first date. And you're like, no, I'm not. I am definitely not the one because I don't know you and you don't know me yet. So how could you even think that or say that? That's my first instinct is like run.
See, that reminds me of it's almost like you get in contact with somebody from Nigeria, but you don't know they're from Nigeria yet, and they say that they're stranded on an island. They need $4,000, and you can Western Union it.
Have you had that?
Oh yeah, I've had a lot of those. But it starts out by them love bombing.
Oh yeah.
It's like you look so good, and I think you're the one. No, same thing that you're talking about.
Yeah. I had a few of those too. Those are those fake accounts. There's a lot of fake accounts out there, and that makes it even harder in the dating world because you don't even know if you're talking to that person or if it's just a fake person behind a picture and they're, trying to steal your information or steal your money or what. It's just scary dating anymore.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of off and on some of these sites. And, I get tired of it, but then where else am I going to meet people?
Well, family and friends, friends of friends, friends of coworkers. I
Mm,
don't know. I have to think up.
Well, see, I have a problem. So I work by myself. So none of my coworkers live anywhere in this city.
Oh, wow.
So that's out.
And, after COVID, so many people are working from home now. Like 10 times more the amount are working at home than they were in the field because of COVID. So there's a lot of people having problems.
And
It's
there's another friend of mine who set me up on a couple dates, and they wound up to be drug addicts,
what
and
kind
I
of
didn't know.
friends did you bring up? Oh my goodness.
So, and this reminds me of another story or another date that I had.
Uh-huh.
So, there was this date. We met at a bar. I just bought her a couple of drinks. I figured that was a safe bet. So, if she didn't like me, she's more than welcome to leave. If it didn't work out for me, then all we did is buy each other drinks. So that
Mm-hmm.
was a safe bet. She was okay looking, but she kind of was on the negative foot, so to say. And she goes, "Well, every time I go out on a date, I never get a second date." And I'm like, "Okay, so let's plan our second date." And then she
Mm-hmm.
was just looking at me with a frowny face. So I kept on playing a game, and I kind of try to invent games. So
Mm-hmm.
across from the bar, there was two guys and another woman. So I was asking her, "Okay, so which one's the boyfriend? Can you guess?" And then we tried to play that game for a little while and try to guess what they were saying. We made some, funny comments back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
and it became a lot of fun.
So
So,
did you go date?
yeah, because I planned the second date. So, but we went to a different restaurant and actually we ate.
Okay.
Let's see, the first time that we met, she didn't smell, but the second time we met, she smelled. And that kind of like a burnt rubber smell or skunk kind of smell?
Uh-huh. Like
Uh,
weed?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, so I didn't realize that she smoked, and that's kind of a turn off.
Yeah.
And at the end of that second date, when she got closer, her breath kind of had that odor.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to dismiss it, and then we went on a third date, and then she smelled again of that same odor. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like she couldn't get rid of it. So I kept on saying, okay, this has to disappear. It's like, does she brush her teeth? I'm asking myself all these questions in my head, but I kept on going through the date. I learned that she ate edibles and she smoked at the same time. So she did this every single day,
Oh my.
and I didn't realize that. So that's not really my kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to kind of break it off. Do you actually tell them that they smell? Or what would you do in that situation?
Well, I recently had a date, and the guy's breath terrible, absolutely terrible. And it's for like really young, started quit smoking, probably about 6 months ago, but it still smelled like. Oh, I don't know if he was lying about quitting because I had told him I don't smoke and I don't like people that smoke. And then we went on a second date, and it was still just bad. And I can't be with somebody who has really bad because I like to kiss. I know, eventually if we get to that point where we're kissing, that I can't do it. It's like I cringe at the thought of it. I could not kiss somebody with really bad breath. I just can't. Yellow teeth, that's, cosmetic. Anybody can fix that problem. Put some Crest Whites on, go to the dentist, whatever. But bad breath, that means you're not taking care of yourself, you're not brushing right, not washing. It's just bad hygiene. I can't personally deal with bad hygiene. That's a huge, huge turn off on a date.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had a person who actually brushed their teeth, and within 5 minutes, they had bad breath.
I don't make them brush it very well.
It's like, how is that possible?
They didn't brush it very well, or I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe they need some Listerine.
Yeah, so this one I kissed with my mouth tightly closed.
Uh-huh. Yes. Yeah, that one just gave me a peck, and that's all I was doing. Like, gotta go.
Yep.
First one, got a hug. Second one, just got a little pet, and I was like, okay, I still can't. I just can't. That's all I could think about. He was a great guy too. And he was really nice, super sweet. It was a sad thing, honestly.
And he looked like a model and everything.
No, he didn't look like a model. I would say that, he's nice looking.
Well, that's good.
But, and maybe I shouldn't be so superficial, but that's just something for me where the intimacy wasn't going to happen. And so if that's not going to happen, there's no point in proceeding.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, everybody has their little nuances and things that turn them off, and you can't turn it back on once it's turned off.
So for Mr. Yellow Teeth, did you give him a kiss or a hug, or how did you end the date?
Um, he asked if he could have a hug, and I gave him a hug, and then that was it. And then I pulled away and went to my car. Second date, he's like, yeah, I have a hug, and I said, okay. I gave him a hug, and then he wanted to kiss, so I just let him get a quick pet. To my car I went, and then I, let him down nicely.
So you let him down nicely. So what was it that you said?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't say anything about his bad breath or his teeth or anything. I'm too nice for that, I guess. I don't know. So, just told him, I appreciate your time and effort and faith. And you're a super wonderful guy. Just don't think you're, my type. I said, but we can still be friends. I'd love to be friends with you. You're a great person. And I said, but I'll leave that up to you. I'd love to do that. And so he said he wanted to be friends, so we stayed friends.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And he didn't try to pursue another date after that?
No, he did, cook my work, having a party, and he already offered to cook stuff for me. So he went and did that. But that's really about it. He still texts all that, but he knows that I'm not doing anything further. He's very sad. It makes me sad to get people that way, but you still have to do what you got to do because you're still not your person. It's so hard though. It really is hard being the dumper. It's hard. I guess it's hard being the dumper and the dumpy. There's just no easy way to get around it.
Yeah, well, see, that reminds me of another date that I had. So this date wasn't as nice as as you were to Mr. Yellow Teeth.
I love your nicknames.
so we went to dinner, and she was a vegetarian. And, I was good with that because my son was a vegetarian at one point, and at least we had something to talk about. And
yeah, it should be good.
She proceeded to point out the negative things about me. She goes, "It doesn't look like you wash your hair." And I'm like, "Well, I do put product in my hair, so maybe that's why."
What?
And then she
So
goes,
you had gel in your hair, and so she said it looked like you hadn't washed your hair. Do you wash your hair, Brian?
"Yeah, I wash my hair."
Okay, good. Wash your hair. Okay.
No, I work in a dirty environment, so I wash my hair every day.
Okay. I thought you worked at home. Is your home dirty?
No, I go out to client sites.
Okay.
And then a lot of times I come back home and do the paperwork because I can't do it on a little tiny phone, which is a little irritating to see little text and what to select.
Yeah.
So,
That's understandable.
yeah, there's a lot of paperwork and follow up and everything else.
Okay, so this girl was so rude. That's terrible.
But she told me that she said, "I know I have some back fat, but is there anything else wrong with me? I told you what's wrong with you, so it's only fair for me to say something." And I'm like, "What? Really?"
Oh my gosh. That's terrible. That poor girl. Poor you having to deal with her, but I mean I don't know if that's just her upbringing or she's just a rude person. You never point out your date's flaws ever. As a matter of fact, when you go into a first date, you're looking for the things that you do like about them, not what you don't.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
so yeah, this was a little bit different for me, so.
You should have asked her, said, okay, you don't like my hair, what do you like about me? I think you could draw anything positive out of her.
Right. And
Probably what I would have said.
I actually got something really sloppy on purpose to see how she would take it. So I got ribs, and of course, I handled it with my hands. I've had a date where they were disgusted when I licked my fingers, so I tried not to do that, and I used a napkin this time. It's just people pick on the smallest things.
Yeah, it's like they're looking for some reason. Okay, you're not that's they're looking for perfection, and nobody is perfect, and that's what a lot of people and they have this ideal perfect person in their mind, and they go out on the stage and they compare this person to their ideas of what a perfect person should be, and they pick out every flaw. A lot of them do it, to themselves. They don't say it, but this girl just said it. That's just plain rude. I would have been like, that's rude. But if some guy told me, "Oh, your hair looks dirty," or "That's an ugly shirt you're wearing," you don't do that. That's just terrible. I don't know. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's almost like they weren't raised with manners.
Yeah, I'm raised in a barn or something.
Raised in a barn. I don't quite get that. Raised in a barn.
Like an animal. Yeah, somebody comes in, they have dirty shoes, and they just stomp all over your house with dirt and then leave a big mess. And you're like, "Oh, raised in a barn."
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's the saying in the South there.
It's like, don't judge me and then I won't judge you.
Yeah, and why is anybody judging anything? If nobody's perfect, there's only one perfect God and Jesus. So, I mean, why in the world would they be judging somebody else because they're not perfect?
Yeah, because some of the imperfections are unique and it could be something that you're attracted to,
Yeah.
you know?
So, that to me would be a huge red flag.
What's a red flag?
Somebody that would point out negative things about on a first date. Be like, okay, you have a nice life.
Yeah. It's like you weren't like this when we were texting each other.
Yeah.
I showed you my, well, I was going to say, if I show you my picture, are you going to say, oh, it looks like you didn't wash your hair? Are you going to zoom in on every little follicle?
Well, a lot of men use what gel hair products, and it gives it that look. That's normal if they're using those hair products, right?
Yeah, yeah, sometimes.
So you said you had a bunch of product in your hair.
Yeah, I usually put products in my hair. They don't look greasy.
I don't know. There's no accounting for rudeness.
Oh, that reminded me of another date. So there's this lady that we went out for drinks. And at this time, this has to be a long time ago. It's got to be over like 20 years ago. And I used to use mousse.
Mm-hmm.
And mousse sometimes have that white film.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes it dries with that white film cluttered in your hair. It's almost like you just,
Like you got dandruff?
well, it's almost like it was snowing outside and you just came in from the snow. But in this case, she noticed that there was one piece of like white piece that was stuck. It's almost where my hairline meets my forehead.
Mm-hmm.
It was white, and I didn't even notice it was there.
Mm-hmm.
So we left, and then, well, she said she had a good time, which was a lie. And then when we were texting each other after that date, she goes, "Well, I don't think we're a good match." And I'm like, "Well, I'm curious why." Because I thought we had a good conversation, we had a good time. I bought you some drinks, and we had a few laughs.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, "Well, there's a white thing that was in your hair, and that got me all disgusted." Or she had the ew factor, I guess,
Uh-huh.
if that's the new thing to say. And I'm
Huh.
like, just because there's something in my hair, why didn't you say anything?
Right? Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's not character flaw. That's something that can be fixed. It can be washed out. That's
Well, see, after that, I didn't use mousse anymore. So I used, I think, a clear gel instead.
uh-huh.
But if you do tell the truth in a tactful manner, I can improve myself and I can learn. right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if you don't like something, I'll change. Why not?
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Yeah, I've had a lot of bizarre dates. Those were the mild dates. You'd have to listen back to other podcasts to see or to hear the real weird ones.
Oh my. Okay. Well, I've got a weird one. I was having I had met this guy for the first. Went to dinner. He drove over from the next city over, 40-minute drive over, and we were having dinner. It was had a nice conversation. I wasn't really feeling it. So we left, and then he gave me a hug, and he got a car, and I got in my car, and I started to pull away from another city. I didn't know if he didn't know where he was going because his car didn't go anywhere. So I circled back. I was pulling back up to the car. I rolled my window. He's in his car masturbating.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So that was awkward. It was very awkward.
And he didn't even see you coming.
He didn't see me coming back. No. And then he said, he rolled his window down. He sounded a little irritated that I was there because I caught him. He's probably embarrassed, I'm sure. At least I would hope he would be. And I just told him, I said, making sure you're getting to the highway. And he's like, yeah, I know where to go. I'm like, okay. Off I went, never spoke to him again, went back and blocked him. I'm like, dude, at least wait till you get home.
Yeah, that's got to be real awkward.
And there was another one. We met, I think we're towards, it was another city, but we went to, it was near Disney World, and it was like a Disney Springs type place. And we walk around, these shops and different things to do. And we did that. And we got something to eat. And he was just like, started being an octopus, what I call it, the octopus. All of a sudden, it's just hands everywhere and all over, and trying to stick his tongue down my throat. And I'm like, dude, I just met you. Well, that was awkward. I got out of there as fast as I could. So it's either they're very standoffish or they attack you like an octopus. It's like, where's the happy medium?
I don't know. I mean, I had a date like that, but it turned out pretty good. Where where she was handsy. I mean, not sexual.
Uh-huh.
But, she actually touched me and, not what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I've actually heard that from a few guys because I'm the type of person, if I go on a car ride or something, I'll rub the arm and hand or whatever. I'm a little touchy like that. And I would say, oh my gosh, nobody ever touches. Is that a thing with guys? Nobody ever touches them?
Well, I'm real respectful, so I don't necessarily touch them unless they make a gesture that it's okay, or
Mm-hmm.
give me some kind of sign. But most of
Mm-hmm.
them don't. Yeah, once you're in a relationship, it's to be, touchy feely, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
Holding hands or doing something.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but some
I
people
think
aren't like that though.
no, no, they're not. Me, I just try to be very open and authentic and just be me when I go out on dates. And I treat each one as, fresh. I try not to bring all the garbage from the other ones into the next one. I just try to still be me. And you can enjoy dates with people. Doesn't mean, even if you don't, you can tell whether you're attracted to them. You can tell whether it's something you're going to want in the future or not. But they're still a person, and they still have great attributes, and may have a great personality, and you can still go and enjoy yourself, and then that's it. Then it ends. But a lot of people, they'll get rude, like some of the people you're talking about, like, oh, I don't like this because this isn't somebody I want to date. And so they turn negative. And I think every date should just be because it could be a friend. Who knows? You can make a friend out of that person.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't understand the whole negative, but I think that dates should be, optimistic and go into it with open eyes and look for the positive in that person and not only their looks but in their personality, and do they make you laugh? Do you connect? Are you compatible and have things in common? That kind of stuff. Do they have any emotional maturity? How did their last relationship end and why? Are they narcissistic? Are they, these are all little signs that you need to look for in people.
Yeah, well, at least we have that in common. We both
Yeah.
dated somebody that was narcissistic, but
Uh,
it's almost like who hasn't?
yeah. There's a lot of narcissists these days. I think the society is breeding them.
Yeah, I think that word's overused. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, but I think that's a fine line. I mean, you know what you deserve,
Hmm.
but you don't want to come across being, selfish or controlling because you know what you're looking for and
Hmm.
in a relationship.
Hmm. Well, I think you have to set standards and boundaries early on. Like right now, there's this doctor that I'm on a second date with, and he's wanting to, take me off for the weekend somewhere. I'm like, are you getting two rooms? Because I don't know you well enough to be in a room alone with you. And I'm not to the point where I'm going to be sleeping with you.
What was this
Plus,
a second date idea or?
we were on a second date, and then he wanted to go off for the weekend. We're talking about making, another third date, but going off for the weekend on a romantic getaway. And I'm thinking, I've noticed this a lot of times when, they really just want sex, basically. If they're going to try to get you into a situation where hey, let's go off on a romantic holiday. Let's go off for the weekend, or come over to my house and we can chill and just watch movies together, and on my bed.
Yeah.
And you're like, I wasn't born yesterday. I really wasn't.
Yeah, make sure to bring your bathing suit because we're gonna hop in the hot tub.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, his look in his eyes when I said, "Oh, is there going to be a second room?" He's like, "That doesn't sound like a romantic getaway." I'm like, "Well, I don't know what you were expecting, but yeah, that's not happening."
Yeah, that's too fast.
Yeah, well, guess it doesn't hurt to ask. Some women would be like, "Sure."
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting people out there.
Hmm. Yeah, they want to move things along really fast, and I get it. Some people they do that. It's not me personally. That's why you have to set your own standards for your own what you're looking and stick to it.
Now,
And don't let anybody cross those.
do you think the people that move faster, would you say that was an age thing? Because if they know they like you, then why fool around? Or I mean, why drag it on?
Everybody's different. They do that, and I certainly wouldn't be the person to say no. Don't do it on the first date, second date, or wait 6 months. I personally have to feel extremely comfortable with somebody and get to know them because you don't want to get sex with anybody and then they're like, okay, they got sex and then fuck you. Okay, but they got what they wanted.
Right.
And you didn't have time to build any intimacy, any emotional connections or anything like that, which takes time, honestly. Those things can't be rushed. And there's nothing wrong with having anticipation. I think it's great to build anticipation,
Yeah.
physical intimacy.
Yeah, it's like, where's the courting part of it?
Yeah, there isn't any anymore. I had one on one of the dating sites the other day, and he, right off the bat, started talking about how in love with me he was, and that I was the one, and what did he say? His kundalini was rising, all kinds of crazy stuff, and that he had masturbated, and then he sent me a picture of his package, his penis, whatever you want to call it, anatomically correct name, and I was horrified. I was like, what just happened? So yeah, I blocked him, and that was the end of that.
So I always thought it'd be funny if he sent you, his package, so to say.
Uh-huh.
I thought it'd be funny for you to send him a package and say, oh, "Well, look at mine." you
I
know.
think that was hysterical. I wish I had done that.
See, I thought that'd be so funny.
He wouldn't text anymore after that.
It's like my package is bigger than yours.
I like that. I'll have to do that one next time.
I'd just be curious to see how they would react.
Their face when they see it. Be awesome.
Yep.
Be a fly on a wall.
Well, see, there was one time where I connected with somebody on a date site, and I didn't realize they were a transgender. I found out when he sent me his package,
Oh. Oh.
and I'm like, whoops.
What? What do you say? What do you think?
I don't know. I just talked to him like a regular person,
Uh-huh.
but as soon as a woman says, "dude," or use masculine verbiage, so to say,
Mm-hmm.
then that totally turns me off. So, I mean, I'm not into men at all. I did have a friend that was a transgender.
Mm-hmm.
He committed suicide. So,
So sad.
yeah, but he was a lot of fun.
So hey, we're both getting packed.
So you're not going to send me your package, are you?
No, no, got my packages,
Okay, well that's good.
and I definitely would expect you not to make yours.
You would what?
Expect you not to make yours.
uh, I mean, for me, it's easy to connect with people if they want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it boils down to. You have to want to.
It's almost like people are making this harder than what it should be.
Yeah, they are. And then they're wondering why it's.
It's like I get a text message that says, "Hey," and then I go, "So how was your day?" And then the next day they go, "Hello." They don't even answer the previous question. Or sometimes I get, "Oh, sorry, I was busy. I fell asleep," or whatever it might be. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. I did ask you a question. And then I kind of feel stupid repeating the same question over again. So then I changed the subject.
Mm-hmm. So they don't text you and with the question they asked. They just made excuse on why they answered. Sounds like you didn't need to be talking anyway, because then it was communication.
Or if you're texting somebody a lot and all they say is good morning
Yeah, exactly.
and nothing else the rest of the day. So then you have to match their energy with it, right?
Not necessarily.
No? Or is it supposed to be a
No, see, I immediately think that you don't have the same energy. Or maybe they're just not a texter, they're a talker instead.
Yeah, I've run across that too.
I mean, there's all kinds of things that it
Like
could
when
be.
you're buddy, like you have a great time or whatever, and then you don't hear from them for 2 days, or it's very minimal texting. But then you see them again and you have a great time. Yeah, it's a little confusing.
Yeah, for me, it's hard to gauge. So sometimes they blow you off. Sometimes they don't talk to you because they're busy at work. But it's hard to gauge if they're actually a talker.
That is true.
Yeah, because I know I get busy sometimes, but I mean, I like talking to people. I'm just going to say there's a young lady that just texted me out of the blue. I don't know who this person is. They said that they enjoyed a lot of my messages on the blog. And I'm like, oh, thanks. And I go, well, I always like to talk to people. I mean, I like a talker. Because a lot of times, I speak in front of, maybe 100 people in a day, and then I get tired and I just want to stop talking, but I want to listen to what you have to say. So this lady kept on talking to me and tried to learn who I was. And then at one point, there was a lull in the conversation. So then I went out to dinner. And by the time I came back, I had a slew of texts that said, oh, I thought you liked a talker. I guess not. So if you want to not talk to me anymore, then that's okay. So it was like a negative vibe.
Yeah, kind of like a needy vibe.
Right. And so I texted her when I got back. I go, oh, I just went out to dinner. I didn't realize you were still texting. And she goes, well, you could have said that you were going out to dinner. And I'm like, okay, well, I just met you. I mean, this is the first time we started talking to each
Right.
other.
Right.
And that reminded me of kind of like a girlfriend vibe. Like,
Uh-huh.
like if we were dating. And I'd
Right.
say, oh, okay, I'm going out with a friend. Of course, that's normal.
Yeah.
not for somebody new that, there's a long pause in a conversation and that was it. I thought the conversation was over, so I did something else.
Right. Wow.
So it's hard to
Yeah,
tell.
that one's a needy vibe for sure.
I mean, I don't mind needy as long as it's in a positive way.
Right. Yeah, you don't want any negativity right off the bat. Because if they're negative right off the bat, then that's just their personality.
You don't want to tell them that they're needy either. It's like, oh boy.
No.
Well, of course, I never heard from her again, so.
You're just so mean to all these girls, Brian.
I know. I'm
Just
such
take it away.
I'm such a mean, narcissistic person, aren't I?
Right. So just into yourself.
It's
How
like
could you-
I
or
go
like-
out of my way to help people, and that's just what I get.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Dating's interesting. People are interesting.
Yeah, people are interesting. That's why I want to keep on doing it.
Keep torturing ourselves.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's got to be some normal people out there, right?
Well, I don't want to say normal people. There's got to be somebody who matches your energy, that has the same physical attraction, same emotional attachment. It's almost like you're trying to match who you are with somebody else.
Yeah, your compatibility.
There's all,
Oh, yeah.
all kinds of little things to just look for.
And I figure, the right one, it will happen. Organically, it'll be fine.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it comes sooner than later.
And they'll just not be there.
Yeah, because pretty soon I'll be 90 and,
Still waiting.
yeah, still on these date sites.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm looking for the woman with the same walker that I have.
Maybe you'll meet her in the nursing home.
Yeah.
Hey, and you can go to, do an assisted living, and then y'all can go to breakfast together and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Cards, with your group of friends, and, oh, yeah, it's going to be a good time.
And you can say, why don't you come to my room and watch TV? Because the only thing to sit on is a bed, right?
No, you can have, a chair or a couch. Depends on how big the room is. Those rooms are different sizes, depending on, the amount of money you have. And some are apartments, some are rooms. It really just depends.
Yeah, my grandmother, it looked like she had an apartment. But most of them I've seen, it just has like a bed and a TV, like a hospital.
That's more like a nursing home. The assisted livings are more like living quarters.
That'd be funny if they had local date night instead of bingo.
Right. Oh, my goodness. See, it's men die before women, so there's going to be maybe 5 guys for every 100 women in that facility. You have plenty to choose from then.
Well, it's kind of funny that you said that because my grandfather was 15 years younger than my grandmother because he thought that he would die at the same time his wife would die.
Mm-hmm.
But he died a lot earlier. And I think he died in his 50s, and then she lived until she was 96.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, you never know when it's your time to go. But I think the most important thing with dating is you got to be happy with yourself first. And you have to know what you're looking for, and you have to set those boundaries and standards, and above all, be safe. Have a plan in place, let somebody know where you're going, meet in public places, and, so just approach dating safely and with some intelligence.
Yes. So whatever they're comfortable with, I just go with the flow.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's it for this podcast.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. Well, this was exciting. So we will see you next time, and we'll talk to you later.